Cowboy Kent Rollins is one of the most beloved figures on YouTube, but just because you love his videos doesn't mean you know his whole story.
The youngest of four, Kent Rollins and his family lived on a ranch along the banks of southwest Oklahoma's Red River, where his father owned about 250 cows. Rollins started participating in cattle drives at the age of 8, which was hard work for someone that young. In a guest blog post for Guideposts, he recalled his first cattle drive, writing, "There were times I wanted to quit, not that I ever let on. The next morning, my entire body was sore. Still, I stood a little taller that day, even if it made my muscles ache more." Helping his father with the cow and calf operation remained a key part of Rollins' life all the way through his teenage years. After finishing school, he secured his first cooking job. He subsequently spent 4 years learning how to cook food in extreme weather conditions and high altitudes in order to feed hunters in New Mexico. However, his first stint as a cowboy cook was cut short as his aging father grew ill, giving Rollins no choice but to return home. Suddenly working 20-hour days to keep the ranch afloat, his cooking career ground to a halt. Rollins has often discussed his close relationship with his father, who he has described as his hero. He impressed true cowboy values upon Rollins, such as always tipping his hat, watching his language in the presence of women, and holding his head up high if he did not win a rodeo, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. Most importantly, he taught Rollins the importance of hard work and perseverance, both of which are values that shine through his work today.
And remember, cowboys and beef, gotta have them both.
Sadly, Rollins' time with his father was to be cut short. After he moved home to take over more responsibilities on the ranch, his father passed away. He had been diagnosed with cancer and, according to Rollins, fought a very long battle. Rollins used writing as an outlet for his grief, a hobby he still keeps up to this day with his blog. He also realized that staying at home on the ranch was more important than ever. Rollins told the Oklahoman, "I believe we learned something from everything in our lives, but I wasn't sure what I would learn from my dad dying. I learned I needed to be at home." The aftermath of any loss is always tough to bear. For Cowboy Kent Rollins, the fact that he had to keep his family's ranch afloat in the wake of his father's death only worsened his grief. To keep things ticking, he took on a new job as a road grader for the county highway department. It wasn't what he wanted, but it was a cushy government job that paid the bills and came with a retirement pension, which isn't exactly easy to come by as a cowboy. Unsurprisingly, Rollins wasn't happy about this life. He wrote on Guideposts, "I missed cowboy culture, the joy I got from cooking, but how could I give up the security of a government job to chase after a dream?" It didn't help that cattle drives were becoming increasingly uncommon, causing Rollins to fear that he'd simply been born at the wrong time to make this dream into reality. Ultimately, it was his mother who convinced him to get back to cowboy life. After opening up about his internal struggles, Rollins quoted his mother as saying, "You need to do what makes you happy. We'll trust God with the rest. He'll see us through with the ranch." Cowboy Kent Rollins didn't just lose his father, but his beloved mother too. In 2013, Joy Rollins sadly passed away. Just like his father, Kent Rollins credits his mother with teaching him a number of important life lessons. When the cold weather and early mornings seemed too daunting as a child, his mother invited him to stay home and help her with the baking and cooking, providing the first spark in his foodie journey. Living 14 miles outside of town, feeding the family wasn't always easy and usually called for some degree of improvisation, which Rollins later spoke about with Cookery by the Book.
My mother taught me, this may call for this in a recipe, but there's something that can take its place and you've already got it.
Years later, when he competed in Chopped Grill Masters, Rollins' wife suggested that his mother's improvisational ability was part of what helped him get so far on the show. He quoted her as saying,
"You learn to improvise and get by with stuff you didn't even know what was."
Rollins has often described his mother as the best cook he has ever known, highlighting her meatballs with gravy and mashed potatoes as her standout dish. Years after his mother's passing, her legacy lives on through Rollins' cooking, with the cowboy cook even telling Oklahoma Farm and Ranch that he's adopted her motto, "Cook what you love and love what you cook." Rollins wasn't the only one working the ranch in his childhood. His siblings were Randy and Dale, both brothers, as well as Randy's twin Cindy. Cindy was born in 1950 with cerebral palsy, an incurable condition that primarily impacts movement and coordination. According to Rollins, the family supported Cindy by adopting a typewriter so she could compile a collection of her own recipes.
An uncle of ours fixed her a cover that went on the keyboard, and my sister could type with her thumb.
Later in her life, Cindy went to live with Randy and his wife in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. There, she became an active participant at the Cherokee Elder Care Center, which she visited on a daily basis. Sadly, Rollins experienced yet another loss in February 2020 when, right on the cusp of the COVID-19 pandemic, Sydney passed away at the age of 69. When Cowboy Kent Rollins uploaded his Thanksgiving episode on YouTube in November 2022, he wrapped up by making one small request.
I have a procedure the Monday after Thanksgiving, and I just ask y'all to pray about it.
A few days later, a post on his Facebook page confirmed that he had undergone a cardiac procedure and was currently in recovery. A week later, Rollins was back up on his feet and on the screen. Before delving into his go-to recipe for charro beans, he revealed that he had suffered atrial fibrillation, a heart condition characterized by an abnormally fast and irregular heartbeat for the past 30 years. In order to come off his medication, his doctors had recommended he undergo a cardiac ablation, which involves using radio frequency energy or cryoablation to make small scars on the heart to correct the rhythm. While he was still under strict orders to, in his words, not lift anything that weighed over schnauzer weight, Rollins confirmed that he was healing well.
He is the great physician and the great healer, and I thank you for making a petition on my behalf to him.
He then revealed one of the biggest downsides to his procedure, the punishment of only being able to eat turkey bacon rather than regular bacon for breakfast. Another tragedy struck Cowboy Kent Rollins in 2024. In a video posted to his YouTube channel in June, Rollins casually mentioned that he and his wife had lost their house in the vicious wildfires that had recently swept through Ruidoso, New Mexico. Spurred on by a combination of high winds and dry weather, the fires caused thousands to flee their homes and destroyed at least 1,400 properties. Fortunately, nobody was home when the fire reached Rollins' home, but the cook confirmed in a blog post that the house was a total loss. The fire reportedly burned so hot that it even managed to melt glass in an oven designed to withstand extreme temperatures. Miraculously, some of his beloved cast iron cookware survived, which Rollins recovered by digging through the ashes. Some were found to be in good enough condition that he was able to restore several pieces with the aid of a lead testing kit, right-angle grinder, sander, and grapeseed oil. He even shared a YouTube tutorial for others to do the same should they ever find themselves in a similar situation. June 2024 was a tough month for Cowboy Kent Rollins. Not only did he lose his home in New Mexico, but he also lost his best friend. Taking to YouTube with a video titled "Saying Goodbye to My Best Friend," Rollins revealed that his beloved pet beagle, Bonehead, had sadly died. Looking back on their time together, Rollins revealed that Bonehead first came into his life when he and his wife Shannon were in Wichita Falls and two beagles started chasing their car. The pair took the dogs into their home, with Rollins quickly naming his soon-to-be best friend and giving him the nickname of the Beag. Over the years, Bonehead also became known as the YouTube channel's official taste tester.
He was one of them dogs that just brought you happiness.
To commemorate his lost pal, Rollins encouraged subscribers to donate to the Humane Society of Lincoln County, which supports other rescue dogs and rescued multiple pets during the Ruidoso fires. Fans could purchase a t-shirt featuring Bonehead on the design to donate to the same charity. Rollins later revealed that both efforts combined raised an impressive $53,000 for the animal rescue group, providing a silver lining to an otherwise tragic event in his life.
The Beag is up there in heaven giving y'all a tail wag because he's so proud of you.
When Cowboy Kent Rollins isn't out on the open plains or whipping up biscuits, he also finds time to make sporadic television appearances. One of his most memorable appearances was on the Food Network's Chopped. Like all contestants, Rollins competed against 3 other chefs for the chance to win $10,000. While he didn't quite make the cut on his first 2 attempts, he was brought back for the show's Redeemed or Rechopped episode in 2013. Things started off well for the cowboy cook, who made it all the way through to the dessert stage. But it was during this round that tragedy struck. Rollins was making bread pudding when he accidentally cut himself and bled into the dessert. As a result, Rollins was automatically eliminated due to the fact that the judges couldn't sample his bake. Instead, it was Chef Zoe Feigenbaum who took the crown, despite the fact that her baked Alaska was so poorly received that Judge Mark Murphy said it may have been better if she hadn't served anything. Cowboy Kent Rollins may have seemed like the perfect candidate for Netflix's Barbecue Showdown. The reality series sees contestants compete in a barbecue cook-off for the honor of being named the barbecue champion and winning a cool $50,000 in the process. That's why fans were excited to hear that Rollins would compete in the show's 3rd season in 2024. But sadly, Rollins' time on the show was brief, as he was eliminated in the 4th episode, placing 7th. In the eyes of some viewers, this was no accident. Many accused Netflix of giving Rollins unfair criticism and a severe lack of screen time. As one frustrated viewer wrote on Reddit, They did Kent Rollins so damn dirty with both the judging and the editing. He's an entertaining character, and that was clearly tampered down and hidden as much as possible. A real sore point for viewers was inconsistent judging, with Rollins criticized for his liberal use of sauce, while the next contestant received praise for the exact same thing. There was also the fact that he was seemingly given the poorest ingredients, such as duck wings and fish, and the fact that he was eliminated for seasoning said fish too well. As one Redditor said, "Someone had it out for Cowboy Kent. The whole season seems scripted." While Rollins himself hasn't commented on his loss, it's safe to say that his fans have been pretty angry on his behalf.
All us fans of Cowboy Kent Rollins know his wife/camera operator is a bit younger than him. But if other people care about the age gap, it's clear it ain't an issue for them. So how did this relationship get started? With how comfortable she seems cooking outside with her husband, it may appear that Shannon Rollins was born into a life of cowboys and ranchers. But that's only partially true. While she grew up in Elko, Nevada, a small ranching community, her parents weren't ranchers themselves. Her mother worked in education, while her father worked in the purchasing department at a gold mine. When it came time to head off to college, Shannon decided to trade in the desert for trees. She chose a college in Portland, Oregon, mainly because of the lush Pacific Northwest climate. When she wasn't busy taking in the environment, Shannon worked on obtaining a Bachelor of Sciences degree, learning skills that would prove to be useful for her career.
It was like a communication degree. It was journalism, PR, advertising kind of combo.
But the call of home proved too strong, and Shannon returned to Elko, where she initially followed the traditional path of the modern college graduate, working various jobs that had nothing to do with her degree. It was in her hometown where Shannon met her future husband. At the time, she was working for the Western Folklife Center, which hosts the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering each year. Part of her job was assisting the presenters at the gathering, one of whom was a mustachioed cowboy named Kent Rollins, who was doing some cooking demonstrations that year. The two connected over the phone to go over what Kent would need for his demo, but there was a slight snag.
And he starts talking, and I'm thinking, this guy's from a foreign country because I cannot understand a word he's saying. His accent was so thick.
Too shy to admit she didn't understand, Shannon did something many of us are guilty of at times. She simply laughed her way through the phone call. It may have helped her at the moment, but it wasn't exactly a foolproof strategy. Kent asked for crock jars for a sourdough bread demonstration, but when he arrived to do his presentation, Shannon had 10 crock pots set up and ready to go. Despite the failure to communicate, they soon became friends and started dating a few years later. As the saying goes, the couple that cowboys together stays together. In an interview with Medium, Kent said, "I was very blessed to have a beautiful young woman come along and tell me that, hey, I think we can do this together." But signing up to live the cowboy lifestyle isn't for those afraid of roughing it at times. Shannon detailed some of their not-so-glamorous lifestyle with Chris Gregory, owner of Heartland Horseshoeing School. When it came to traveling with their chuck wagon, she said, "It's really hard because everything we have is hot and heavy, and Bertha, which is our wood stove, she's 400 pounds, and you got all your cast iron, and you got to cut your wood, and then you drive." Welcome to the world of a modern-day cowboy. Shannon stuck with it for 3 years before deciding it was time that she, Kent, and Bertha needed a change. She said, "I finally got to a point where I said we have to transition because this is not sustainable." Before Kent pulled her into the world of cowboy culinary cooking, Shannon was admittedly not much of a cook. She told Chris Gregory, "I used to hate cooking. I would literally burn water." But once her charming cowboy started showing her the ropes while they were hitting the dusty trails, she began to fall in love with not only him, but with what he loved as well.
To do the Kent Rollins cleaning method.
There you go. Who's going to get it tonight for supper? The opossum. The opossum.
Not surprising, given the fact that Kent Rollins himself is a warm and charismatic personality who finds a way to bring fun to cooking meals. Over time, what started as a potential fire hazard grew into a shared activity before becoming a genuine passion. Shannon is now actively involved in the Red River Ranch Chuck Wagon Cooking School, where students come to learn how to produce fine meals in even the roughest conditions. After working and learning under Kent, Shannon's even started creating her own recipes. Her husband told Cowboys and Indians, "She is a very creative baker. I love her braided French bread, but she really surprised me when she came up with her banana pudding." Shannon's culinary journey should serve as an inspiration for all wannabe cooks out there. No matter how bad you are or how many meals you burn, with enough practice, anyone can make a meal that'll satisfy a hungry cowboy. When Kent decided it was time to pop the question to Shannon, he made it happen in one of the least cowboy ways possible, thousands of feet in the air. During a commercial flight, Kent got permission from the pilot to make an announcement. As he recalled to Cowboys and Indians, I surprised her on a Southwest flight midair. I had the pilot announce that there was a cowboy on board that had a very important question to ask her. I had written a poem and read it to her. She was so in shock, I had to ask her twice before she said yes. Shannon wore a beautiful mermaid dress while Kent dusted off his best hat and rocked cowboy attire. In addition to becoming a wife when she said I do, Shannon also became a stepmother to Kent's son from a previous relationship and a grandparent as well. Their grandson occasionally appears in their YouTube videos, suggesting that even though their schedule constantly keeps them on the move, they still get saddled with babysitting duties just like every other grandparent. Besides sharing Kent's cooking prowess with their YouTube fans, Shannon has also helped bring the Cowboys' talents to the literary crowd. She and Kent have co-authored 3 cookbooks together, with their first book appropriately titled A Taste of Cowboy. That first literary effort is mainly centered around Shannon and Kent's many adventures and the recipes and experiences they'd had. The couple made an effort to keep it simple for home chefs.
It's a lot of pantry staples, things that are going to be in your household. You don't have to make a special trip to the store.
Their second book, Faith, Family, and the Feast, focuses on a more niche audience, specifically those who may be serving busy ranchers and their families. The couple branched out a little more with their third book, Comfort Food the Cowboy Way, where in addition to recipes, they highlight cowboy history and the interesting characters they've gotten the pleasure of meeting. The books have been big successes, but Shannon has admitted that they're not sure if a fourth one is on the horizon. It was apparently a bit rough working with their old publisher, so if a new book does come riding into stores, it'll be through a different publishing house. After she eventually learned to understand her husband's heavy accent, Shannon was able to fully appreciate Kent's charming personality and skill. Thankfully for all their fans, she decided not to keep him to herself. She told Chris Gregory, "I said to myself, if I can't show the world this guy, I'm not doing something right, because he is charismatic, genuine, has a spark, and is relatable." Shannon had a feeling that a YouTube channel was the way to reach everyone at home who wanted to cook like a cowboy, and she was right. The channel currently has over 3 million subscribers. What started as a couple cooking for hungry ranch hands has become a full-blown online brand thanks to Shannon's vision, dedication, and belief in her husband. Kent may be the master of cooking out in the country, but Shannon is likely the reason you've even heard of the Cowboy Chef. Putting her degree to good use, Shannon is the mastermind behind the scenes of the couple's success. Her list of duties include web design, photography, and scheduling. She also handles the couple's social media presence, something she had to teach herself by utilizing the power of almighty Google. Calling her a jack of all trades is an understatement, as she also manages their online store, handles customer service inquiries, and oversees merchandise production. On top of all that, Shannon's often the one behind the camera capturing the moments that their audience loves, while also handling the back-end logistics like editing their videos and coordinating brand partnerships. While you may be tuning into Kent's videos to get tips on cooking around a campfire, Shannon is the one working the magic to keep the brand running smoothly. One of the key reasons for the success behind the Cowboy Kent Rollins brand is that he and Shannon keep things genuine. What you see is what you get, and what you're seeing is drama-free cooking around a chuck wagon. Shannon herself is of the belief that their YouTube channel is the hit that it is today because they do their best to give viewers raw and unfiltered content. She explained, "I realize that people want the mess-ups. They don't care if the lighting is not perfect. They want it to be authentic. And if you're putting out social media content, the #1 thing is you have to be authentic." In light of this, Shannon has shared that some of their most popular videos are often the ones where things don't go exactly as planned. To Rollins, that's where the heart of storytelling really lives. So whether they're trying to generate content on how to make traditional meals out in the wild or sharing a behind-the-scenes moment of a windy day on the prairie, the goal is to always stay true to who they are and bring people along for the real ride. Shannon and Kent usually travel an average of 20,000 miles each year to give food to cowboys working on ranches. While Shannon's admitted that the winters can be a bit rough, it's a cause that is very dear to both of them, so you won't hear much complaining from the couple. All that time together out on the road has given Shannon a chance to turn Kent into a little monster. The old cowboy revealed, "We do get some good windshield time, and we listen to a lot of different music. Shannon has got me listening to Lady Gaga. These trips are part of the authenticity that their audience craves, as the couple isn't simply trying to generate views through filling bellies. It's a labor of love that Shannon mutually shares with Kent, and their commitment to serving others while staying connected to their roots speaks volumes about the values they hold dear and the impact they hope to leave behind." If you were willing to make the trek to Hollis, Oklahoma before the spring of 2020, you might have had the privilege of attending one of Rollins' cooking classes at the Red River Chuck Wagon Cooking School. But as it did to so many things, the COVID pandemic gummed up the works, and the classes have been on hold for a few years, though Shannon seems to have an eye on fixing that. In addition to bringing the regular classes back, she's hinted at the possibility of adding some online workshops for social media management, a subject she's proven to be adept at, and the structure of classes would be different as well. Gone would be the intensive 5-day program focusing on baking, and in its place would be shorter one-day clinics more in line with their busy schedules. The classes used to be done on an 1876 Studebaker wagon to make sure that students got the true chuck wagon experience. Each day would start early and end late, filled with hands-on learning and practical skills, filled by an atmosphere that was not only educational but deeply rooted in tradition. Time will tell if future participants will get to have a taste of the cowboy life, and maybe some delicious biscuits as well.